Well, good afternoon, and we'll do a little bit of lead work here, and we'll just show this thing warts and all. If I have trouble, I'll have trouble. You know, I'm definitely going to have trouble. This is not an easy program here because you're working with all these curves and all these pre-cut bevels, and you have to make those fit into a perimeter of glass that you cut. And anything wrong or anything off that you do with that glass affects this thing. And you can imagine if you had a perimeter of glass all the way around this thing, and this was already put together, and you tried to get it in there, man, there's a lot of stuff that's got to be just right for this thing to fit in there just right. So anyway, I'm not making it more than it is, but there, you know, it certainly will test you. Okay, what I did since I was on here last, just a couple of hours ago, is I went ahead and set these pieces here in. I decided not to go any further this direction because I'm not sure, you know, how well this is going to go. So based on this, I'll know how I'm going to do down there. Bear in mind, it's not as if I haven't done this before, but every one of these windows, it's a different design. We're using a very narrow lead. There's more lead that's more narrow. Let me get this down where you can see it. More narrow than this. This is 3/16. But you get, I have seen, in fact, I think I have some 1/8" lead. Well, there's no room under the edge of that to put the glass, or very little room. And then just by the fact that the matrix or the lead is so narrow, there's not a lot of strength in it. So after we get this thing, this will be mounted on a mirror, by the way, and then framed. After we get this done and then cemented, this thing will actually be pretty strong. It's not going to actually sit in a window cavity like a window or a door. It's going to go up against a wall with a mirror behind it. It'll sit right in front of this mirror. So anyway, I thought I'd just stop here and show you what I'm doing. This is the only bevel piece that I have fit in here yet. And I made a couple of corrections down under here to get it to drop a little. We'll get this so you can see. Drop a little further in here because it didn't look like it was fitting real good with these curved Victorian swirls there, whatever you want to call them. So I thought, all right, I got that. I've got it in a good place to stop. And then I can always take it apart, grind it out, and come back and see how that works. Don't worry about the cartoon line that's under there. The cartoon was off by plenty, and we did that, showed that in an earlier video. So I took, I thought, well, let's go here. Let's just go right here and put this one in because we can come from this direction to add these pieces. I'm not going to box ourselves in. And we can also come from this direction up here. So that's what I did, and I took a single piece of lead and I just cut a little notch in the lead right there because I wanted to go around this sharp turn. So that's why there's a, you can see it now, but that's a little notch there. And I wanted it to make that sharp turn. And then, of course, we cut it off right up here at the top where another piece of lead will come across there for this area right here. And I felt like, okay, this looks like we could probably start here and see how this is going. So you're going to see this the same time I do. And I'm telling you right now, if anyone thinks that this thing is just going to, I'm just going to start slamming these pieces in, cut the lead, and everything's going to work perfect. Boy, that's not the name of this game. You just kind of take it easy and see where you're at. Okay. So that's a pretty good fit right there. And so what I think I'll do is, since it's pretty solid coming down here, we're not going to get it moving. And it looks pretty good right there. And see, you're interested in that intersection right there. If you're over that direction too far, you're going to get into this diamond shape here, or whatever shape that is, star shape. And if you're down too far this way, then you're going to have a big gap you don't really want to have to fill up. So that's a good fit right there, and it seems like it's setting in this curve here just right. Bear in mind, as I mentioned earlier, there's only 2 millimeters of room underneath this lid. That's all that's there. So you've got to really be pretty close. You can't have a lot of gaps and stuff because, well, it's just not going to look good. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a piece of lead and just push down right here so this thing doesn't move around on me. And then we're going to set another piece and see how it looks. Now, it's not against the law to take the grinder and grind a little bit on the edge of the bevel if you had to have a little bit here or there. You don't want to do a lot of grinding because you don't want to lose much of that bevel, but you can do a little bit with that. So if you look down here, we do have room to go here, and we'll need a piece of lead across the bottom of this. And then the idea then would be to do this one, and I think we could go all the way around it with lead. Let me mark this. I'll show you what I mean. We would take our lead from this top corner right here and put this piece on right like that. Okay, because there's going to be another piece of lead coming across here, right? It's going to go up in there. And then we'd go all the way around this thing back up to this intersection right here, if we can get that to fit right. So there's the challenge. That's where we're headed, that direction. And here's this little piece that goes in there. So all that's got to work. So right now, I think the smart money, I'm thinking about putting this one in, but I can't push much because I've got these pieces that this will jump out of shape here. It's in there pretty solid. So let's do this. Let's see if this thing, how well this piece fits in respect to where it has to go. And bear in mind that it has to intersect this horizontal line here, because we've got a horizontal line from this point up to here, just there. But we don't want it too far this way or too far this way. We'd like to have it on that line. So let's see if, and it also needs to fit good with that star or diamond or whatever that is. Okay, so I want to get you down where you can see it. That's beautiful. And that looks real good on this line right here. Real good on that line. So let's not get crazy, but we're going to take a nail and drive the tension on this thing this direction, because we don't want it to go that way. So let's take a nail and a piece of lead, and these are glazier's nails from the UK, and my friend D. Carter Ray gave me these, and these, I don't know, I just don't think you can find these. However, they're over in Europe, and maybe these are antiques or something. Now, I always used horseshoe nails, which work, but there's nothing like these things. And she gave me about 50 of them, which was a real gift, and they're super strong, and that's what they're for, is exactly what I'm doing with them. Now here, you want to really be careful with that hammer. You hit that bevel and break that bevel, and I thought about it about 24 hours after I ordered this thing. I should have ordered another one just to back this one up, because if I break any of these, then I got to turn around and wait on that to come back in again. So I don't want to do that. So I got to be really careful here. All right, now the next thing, obviously you can't put this one in. So let's see if how much trouble we're going to have with this one. So we have enough pressure pushing here right now that I can take this one up. Okay, see, it's not going to move on me. So this one is right here. Is that right? Wait a minute, genius. That goes here. Here. Okay, here you go. How close? Oh, not too bad. We're going to need a little help. Maybe not much. You know, that might actually fit. It's going to be pretty close. And see, now, you can't help this fit. When they cut these bevels, I didn't have anything to do with this space right here. It appears to me that there's a little more space right here. So when they cut this bevel or made this bevel, they got a little bit you know, a little bit heavy right here. And so we'll fix that. We'll compensate for that. So let's do this. Let's just set that in there. And we'll want to get a piece of lead to go from here all the way to here. We'll see what that looks like. So let's get us a piece of lead. I don't know whether this one's long enough. No, it doesn't look long enough. Okay. We'll go here. So we know we want to be up on the edge here with just enough room to run another piece of lead. And we want to stop over here. Now we'll go a little bit longer than that mark right there because it's a lot easier to cut this stuff off. You certainly can't add to it. Now what I'm doing right now is just kind of pre-curving that. And I'm going to get it in a position. I want to get the angle that I want to cut it right there. All right. You can cut this a couple of different ways. The real purists, and there are some that are really good, they use a lead knife. I haven't used a lead knife in many years. I just don't care for that too much. Now, no more of an angle here that we have in this lead cane. You can use lead dikes. That's what these are. And that'll give us a nice, there's a little angle, but not much. Okay, and that gave us a nice sharp cut. All right, and let's put this back up here. And I just got it in my hand to go all the way around it. And I think I'm a little, if I'm a little too long up here, I can always pull that thing off and cut it off just a little bit. Oh, you know what we did? There's my mark. I just saw. I was going to say I just wiped out my mark. My mark is right there. So let's go back. And here's where you want to make sure that you've got the cane bent all the way around this thing. If you had a pocket here, that would make it a little long, too long. So you want it nice and bent all the way around it. Whoa. Getting a little butterfinger there. All right, now I'm going to try to come back in here because I want to cut that thing right there. And we're going to give ourselves plenty of room right there. And is that, let's see, I'm going to look and see at the angle of that. Aha. I'm glad I went or thought about that. If I get this to fit right, there's an angle there. So if I just cut straight across that, it's going to be wrong. So I'm kind of estimating about where it's going to go. And we'll cut it right there. And I'm thinking that's going to be a little bit long. Okay. Now, let's take this out of here real carefully. Because that's more of an angle than this thing will cut. If you try to cut that angle with that, it'll crush it. So here, I have this handy dandy thing. Ronin, and it's a multi-cutter is what they call it, but boy, do I love this thing. So see, it's got a platform, and of course everybody sees that blade. That's those box cutter blades, and you can just replace that real easy. So I'm putting that angle mark right where the blade is, and look at that. Ooh. So this thing changed my life here about a couple of years ago. Now you can cut these deep angles with this thing, but you've got to do it 2 or 3 different cuts to get that right, and it's still not as clean as that. So let's go back now, and this is where we find, now if I cut too much of it off, I'm going to have to turn around and cut it all again. That's, you know, and I will, let me lock this in here. Trying to figure out where I want to lock this. Let's lock it here. You do not want any moving around here while you're trying to get this stuff set. Okay, if we've made a mistake there, then we'll just cut another one. You know, I don't throw fits or tantrums or any of that kind of stuff. Now here we're going to get to move this one out of the way. Okay, now we're pretty short right here. That's, you know, wish that was a little bit longer right there. I may do that again. That'd fill up with solder real easy, but let me get this tied in here. Okay. I hope I'd love to be too long here. We could pull some of it back. Whoa. Okay, well, you know what happened there? You always have to watch what's going on. This piece had moved out, so we're going to lock it. Man, stuff's moving around here big time. Well, you know why it's moving? We've taken off everything we have here. So let's go and put this right here. Got to get ourselves locked back down again. Okay, now we're still not right yet. Okay, let's lock it right here. Now, I love doing this stuff, but it's not for everybody. It can be tedious, and particularly, boy, you start working with all these curvy bevels. I've never done one of these yet that, you know, they just don't go straight together. Okay, now what I want to look at now is that piece right there is good. Is this one still good? I think it is. Okay, now what I'm trying to do now, see, I didn't get that piece, that lead's not long enough there. It's not fitting either. So let's go down this way. Okay, I'm going to go back out here. And this is the name of this game right here. You start working with this stuff. Now, if you're just going to build a lead panel with simple pieces, you don't get into any of this kind of stuff. Okay, now I'm going to try another little trick. Here's a hook device, and what I'm going to do is pull on it. I'm going to put a dent right here in that lid, and I'm going to pull that. Okay, that got me close enough to solder right there, and this is pretty close. Okay, and we're still okay up here. You see how we kind of had to just start locking it down because it's trying to move around on us. Okay, that's pretty good. So there was enough slack in the lead for me to pull that down. And it wouldn't hurt a thing when I originally put this on if I had looked at this piece and cut that angle right here rather than just cutting it straight across. Now we're burrowing oh, look at that. You know what? There was some slack there. More slack than I thought. Okay. Now we're close enough to solder and close enough to solder. Would we like to be closer? Yeah, the ideal, it doesn't matter. But as far as skills and craftsmanship, you'd actually like all those to touch. But, you know, pretty close. That's pretty close. I hate that term, pretty close. But that will work. But see, now we're moving around here a little bit. So let's... Now here's another area that could really give us grief is this thing. So let's move that lock over to here, and you can, particularly in the early stages of something like this, you can get into all kinds of work, because if this piece here doesn't fit well into here, then it might mean that you're going to pull this piece out. And that's easy enough to do. It would come straight out. But sometimes you end up having to take this thing apart again because something you're building right here does not fit right. But we're right now, pretty good shape. You know what? I want to push. I think the shape of that glass, see that hump right there? I think that's supposed to be there. I'm going to take this fid. Now I'm going to push my waist up against this board, because I'm going to push against this and make sure. What you're looking at right there is making sure that that lead is conforming to the shape of that bevel. And I just want to make sure at any non-conformance out here, we'd get a little more slack here. See, we're moving around just a little bit. Okay. Now, let's put this piece of lead in here, and there'll be another one. Goes clear across there. Anyway, and let's see how, I have no idea how well this is going to fit right here. Is this long enough? Yeah, we might make it right here. I didn't particularly like that one. Okay, now I'm going to start painting. You know, all these stained glass windows, as many of them as I build, and I build I never stop. I just one right after another. Every one has its own personality, so to speak, and every one of them, you kind of start off, it's kind of like a car in a lower gear, and you get familiar with what this thing is asking from you and what you need to do to get it right. And the early stages, like I don't think I've done a video of anything this early on, like this difficult, but you're trying to find a rhythm here with this thing that starts to work. Now, I'm thinking right now, I was going to say, that would have been a pretty good place to put a notch right here and make that one piece of glass, or one piece of lead. Well, why don't we do that? Okay, let's see if we can get that to work. So let's get us a longer piece of lead here. Okay, we cut that off. There you go. We need a slight angle, not much, slight angle. All right. And now I'm going to pull this one out. And I'm thinking, and I miss this every now and then, you'll miss this and get this in the wrong place. But I'm thinking that notch probably needs to be, so I'm going to go that, about right there. Let me mark this so you can see it. Right there. Okay, how I do that, I'm not sure if that notch is in the right place here. I think that notch needs to be just a little to the left. So let's put it, see, I just kind of cut a little small V right there, and then on the bottom too. And we'll find out. I get these right about 9 out of 10 times, but sometimes I don't get it right. Now let's go. I've got to cut it so I can slide it in here. I'm not sure if I got it right or not. Okay, let's cut this. We can always cut some off of it. I think that's a little bit long. We can always cut it off. Yeah. I'll be. Okay. Now I want to take the fid and just make sure. Yeah. Okay, now, boy, I'm telling you what, it would make me feel really good if that big bevel will set in here. If it doesn't, then we got some work to do. Figure out how we're going to fix that. There's always a way to get it fixed. Well, now we're going to go here. There's a slight angle. There you go. And we'll just leave this thing out here, further out. and come back, because it'll get cut in respect to, it'll be quite some time before we get it cut. And here you could, you know, you say, well, if you get this in there, how are you going to get this out? Well, it could pull out this way, or we can cut that with the knife. Okay. All right. I'm really hoping for a good fit here, please. Oh, man. Good gracious. We're there. I was going to say we're off just a hair, but oh, you know what? Now that thing, no, I was going to say that this is just a hair long, but not enough to mess with. Okay. Ooh, man. That, I was thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? Because the only fix here is here. And you're either going to have to go that way with it or go this way with it. And if you have to come this way, then you're going to have to come this way on this one. And so, anyway, that is, oh boy, we are running right down that line. Let me go a little bit more here. There you go. All right, let's, gee. Oh, look out. I just knocked some stuff out of the way there. Man, I did knock some stuff out. Just a minute. Okay. I need to push right here for just, there you go. All right, now we want to really be careful because we don't want any of this moving around. It's such a nice fit. So let's put this piece of lead right there, nice and tight. All right, and here we go again. This looks like it's going to fit, certainly here. Yeah, oh, that's actually a really nice fit, but I think it's possible. I don't know, we'll know soon. It's possible that we may have to take the grinder and just touch right across here. I don't know. That'll depend on, does this thing set in there? And if we need to take, if we could, we want to take very little, but if we took this here, we could also take just a little there if it didn't fit in there right. So let's see what we have here. So we know we need this lead right here. I've done a little bit of lead on these videos, but not any significant amount, I don't think. So I don't think I've ever gone to this extent. What I'm trying to do now is get this bent around here. I want to try to get enough of this out here, make the right decision on the angle this thing needs to be cut. Actually, boy, it's real close to straight. So we'll just take a, let's go right there. We can always back it up if we need to. Okay, so here we are. It's a slight angle, not much. And we're just gonna set it in there. Yeah, I'm just like moving everywhere. Here we go. Try it again. And by the way, everybody that does this is going to do this a different way. I'm just trying to get this lead back in this. You know, maybe it'd be smarter, genius, to just put this lead in here like this. Yeah. And then try to put that in there. I think that would have been a good idea to start with. Okay, and let's take this, my hook tool again. Get up there and catch the edge of that glass. Oh man, look at that. Now, if this thing here, boy, all this is conforming into a nice looking circle. Now, is that going to work for us? I don't know. And now you don't hate to take that out, right? Me too. Particularly the way I'm fumbling around with it. All right. Ooh, don't drop anything. All right, here we go. You know, it might be easier. Just take a piece of this nail and put that nail underneath me. Lift it up. There we go. Okay. Let's push this here. All right. Now for you guys, I'm getting another piece of lead here. I want to lock this down up here again. Now we're reaching a point now where we just don't want any movement because this thing is at least working to this point. Okay. Here's another test. I'd sure like to get, I'm going to have to get this out of the way. You know, I'm going to take this nail and put it. There you go. Okay. How close is this? Gee, I don't know. That looks actually pretty good. That might work. Okay, the same thing again. And I'm going to leave more of a tail out here this time so I can get that angle right. And then around to here, we need to go, you know, somewhere right about here. And we'll just leave a tail on there so I can get that angle right. So what we're going to do now is get a piece of lead on this. There can't be that many people interested in what I'm doing here. But there are those that are, what did I do with it? Here it is. There are those that are interested in this lead work. So see what we're doing? We're going to leave this tail way out there. Let's put a little bit of a curve in it. See, I'm trying to go conform right to the glass. Okay, and let's load that curve there. Okay, there it is. And we'll cut this thing out here a little longer, just to get ourselves over here and then start guessing. Dang, I thought I cut that long. Where'd it go? Not that long. All right. I think somewhere we're going to cut this one. If like I say, if we make a mistake here, we'll just make some more lead. But I'm going to go up here first, and that's a real sharp angle. Boy, you won't cut that with a lead dikes, and you won't do it with a knife either. Wow, what a tool. Now this thing is starting to get in the way. I'm trying to get in this bottom right here. There we go. Whoa. Now we're going to turn it. We're going to have to cut some more off right here. Yeah, I can see that really right now. You know what we want to do now? Lock this in, because I don't want this thing to jump out on us this direction. And let's put one right here. I don't know. For the very few people that are interested in this, I'm sure it's, and you haven't done lead or want to do lead or have not having much luck with it, this has got to help a little. Okay. Now what the idea here is to just roll that in, and we can't roll it in because I have too much lead right here. So, let me see if I can roll. I don't know. I'm going to take that, I just want to make sure, see, we're way up here anyway, so this thing's got to come back this way. If I whack this thing off right here, and then it comes back, I'm going to be too short. So it might be right. I'm just not in this thing well enough yet. Boy, I tell you, I figured that I stumbled into this tool here. Maybe, I don't know, quite a long time ago, quite a few years. And it has bailed me out of more trouble, because how are you going to get a hold of that and move that? Well, you're not. And see that little tiny little divot that I put in that lead, it gets covered with the solder. Ooh, and you know what? We did cut that the right, it's not right yet, we're going to cut it off, but I gave myself enough room there, okay? So we only need to pull just a little more, so we'll be able to get the diamond across the top of this thing. So let's move just a little bit. I'm pushing up against this table now. There, oh! Well, that won't hurt anything. We'll sand that off. My little, the solder will cover that up. Let's put a little. Oh, I want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. Clean that up. The solder will come back and fix that up. I was pulling hard on that, but we're perfectly, a little bit more, and I'm going to be careful this time. It pulled out. There we go. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to even up this piece of lead here with these others, so that when this lead goes across, it intersects all of them perfectly. Okay, now, here's where the lead dikes really come in handy. You could use the knife, but the lead dikes will work right here. And you come right down on top of this. I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing here. There it is. Okay. Now, while we're here, we're going to do this piece here. We're going to stop for you guys. We'll see if this fits. Not great, but not terrible. When I was putting this thing together, I couldn't get those pieces to fit very well anyway. So what we would do here is, it's real close, but not close enough. Seeing how it's rocking around inside like that right there? I might just do that for you. See that rocking right there? Okay, that means there's a high spot. And so where is the high spot? Let's do this. Okay, I'm going to put pressure right in the middle and draw a line right around the inside of that. Now that's going to tell me, this line that I just put in here, is going to tell me how much of that glass is underneath the edge of this piece of lead, and how well are we fitting there. Okay, there you go. Look at here. Okay, there's your high spot right there, and your narrow spot there. That's actually not real bad, but it's too much of it sticking over this way. So why don't we come over to the grinder and take a little of that high spot off. Let's see what that did for us. You know, actually, I don't know where I'm at. I'm about 3:30 in the afternoon, 3:25, 3:23 or something. Here in the Midwest. Boy, it's supposed to get bad here. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Some absurd amount of snow. Absurd wind. Oh, yeah. But I'm in a good spot right here. Okay. Now, I don't expect to be perfect here yet, but we're getting close. Okay, now we're going to go back and put another line under here, and I can see out here what I need to take off. I need to take off some out there. So let's see. These are real wide bevels here, so we're not losing anything. Let's see if there's a good fit all the way around, then we won't mess with this. Oh, that's perfect. See the 1.5 millimeter fit all the way around? So you don't want to mess with that. All right, so let's go here. Get it back in the slot. And what I'm doing here. There it is. Okay. Now, I've got to decide where is it fit. That's where it fits real good, real well right there. So let's go. Okay, now we have a line on there that we think is what we need to grind off. All right. However, before we do that, let's take a look at this thing. I know we need to. Oh heck, I know it's going to have to come off there. See, because it won't fit here. Yeah, it has to come off. Okay, so let's take it off. Mainly right across here. I'm kind of just feathering it on this side because I don't want much off that. Now, got a little difficulty here, a little difficulty there. But what'll happen is the difficulties that you're going to have are early on here. You start working them out, and you know the real thing here is you just don't. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe no one gets angry. Don't get angry at this stuff. It'll eventually fit together as soon as you figure out how to do it. But there's no reason to get bummed out. It is what it is, and the tool that you have to fix it is your head. And if you're all tied up in emotional turmoil over what some inanimate object is doing, well, you're missing the fun here. Okay, we're still not quite there yet. Now I'm looking at the bevel itself. Boy, we don't need anything off this back third. I don't know. Let me look again. You always want to be real careful here when you start exercising that grinder, because you can't ungrind it. I'm just looking at, I've got such a good fit on this side here. I really think it's a mistake to mess with that. So let's come back over here and take some more there. And we're going to see here in just a second. I'll show you what we're going to do here. We're going to move this. Okay. And then we're going to put this back in. There. Oh, we're getting real close. Okay. And now I'm just going to put a nail up under here just to hold that up. Well, so much for that. That didn't work out. All right, well, okay, we won't do that. Oop, that popped out again. Got another idea. Oh yeah, just got to come up with something, whatever it takes to make it just a little masking tape. So I don't want this thing moving around because we're fixing to make a decision on what to do with it. Okay, you see what we did there? I just don't want it moving around because I may need to grind a little more off of it, and I just want to make sure I'm not grinding too much or whatever. Look what we're doing now. Whoa, right there. Oh, man. I'll tell you. Well, wait a minute. I might be under here. Nope, there you go. Let me see what I can see. Okay. If I had to grind, even though it's sticking out a little beyond here, it's actually conforming pretty close, real close, to the shape of this bevel. So, any more grinding, and I'm going to get a little hole. I mean, it'll make it work, but the lead is going to do a beautiful job around there. So, even though this still looks like it's out just a hair, it actually fits. And boy, I tell you what, you can get faked. I used to, man, anything didn't look right, boom, grab the grinder, and you will pay for that because you have to look this stuff over and think about it. Okay, well there we go. That's enough for you guys can kind of get the gist of this thing. What I'll do is I'll move on across here and get this half done. I won't get it done today. What am I doing here? There it is. Anyway, and then get comfortable with it. I'm relatively comfortable with it now because it's going pretty well. And then we'll come back and I think I'll do a whole or quite another lead placing lesson like we're doing right now on this other side. But these are all fit well, and they're going to solder up well, and it's going to be real pretty. And by the way, the CD glass is running in the right direction. All the seeds going this way. So that's all I have for today. And I love to do this lead work. Boy, the finished product, when you get this soldering all done and you do a good job on the lead soldering, you've really got something to see. And then you get the cement on this thing, and you'll have just a gorgeous window. So this is going to be a really pretty piece. Then mount it on a mirror. I never heard of anything like that. So my client's going to put it on a mirror and then take it to a frame shop and have it framed. Then it hangs on a wall. So but if this thing looks real good, maybe I'll be doing more of these. All right, well, I appreciate it, and I will be back in another day, maybe tomorrow. Well, let's see, wait a minute. Will something this size need reinforcing? It would. I'm not even saying that. It's not that big, and even though it's 18 by 30, and it's the narrow lead, if you put the cement on this thing on both sides, this thing will be like a board. But this one wouldn't need reinforcing. I don't think a regular one either. This one wouldn't need reinforcing because it's going to be mounted on a mirror and then framed. So there's no reason to worry about reinforcement. And reinforcement on this thing, I don't like those bars. I mean, I have a whole box of them. Those bars that go across in front of the design, I'm not real pro on that. What you could do here would be to use strong line. Let me put my camera back there. Strong line, but it's not necessary, but here's some strong line. And what strong line is, and strong line would go right inside of here, inside of these joints here, and you just build it in and then compensate for the width of the glass and all that stuff. But there's strong line. They're showing you this picture here. So there's your lead, and it'll go around curves or whatever, and here it is. And it's a steel, and because you're laying it in this way, right, it's real strong this direction. Now, of course, it's flexible this way, but it's real strong. So you would put that in each one of these. You wouldn't necessarily need it here, but you'd put it in each one of these horizontal lines across. You could even run it in the zinc out here, which would be a waste of the strong line. But this thing is not that big to worry about needing reinforcement. If it was much larger, yeah, maybe, yeah. But because of this, where this is going to go, that's when you make a decision. Now, it doesn't need reinforcement because it's going to be built into a frame setting on another piece of glass. Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to look down there again. Sometimes I see questions. Okay, I just answered that question. All right, well, I appreciate everybody, and thank you for all the positivity that you put on my Facebook page. And we'll just keep learning. And heck, I learn on this. I mean, every one of these you do, you get a little bit better. And so, I don't know at this point, after this many years, I don't know how difficult. I'm not, trying to be no ego trip here, but I don't know how difficult this really is. Although I think it's relatively difficult even for me, because you're really having to put your skill package together to get all this stuff to fit right. This is not easy to make this cluster fit inside this parameter. If I had to cut this stuff myself, I'd be doing it one at a time. So, I know it works. So anyway, but I hope that we've shed some light on, or at least how I'm doing it. And there are 10 people are going to do it 10 different ways. But this is how I'm doing the lead work today. Okay, well, thank you all. I appreciate it. And if you have questions about this, be sure and ask.